Matt Schmude, and this is my UDL screencast for Technology 627. Students face a variety of challenges as they attempt to master the content that's required of them within our classroom. During my student assisting and during my student teaching, I've encouraged students with mild autism, ADHD, ESL students. Two of these were foreign exchange students who struggled to learn English, and another one of these students was a student whose parents don't even speak English. They had to use an interpreter at parent-teacher conferences just so we could talk back and forth. So a lot of different challenges that students are facing in our classrooms. I also have friends with cerebral palsy who physically couldn't do some of the things that gets asked of most students. And the real question we have to ask ourselves is how do we meet the needs of these diverse students using technology within our classrooms? And one of the ways that I've been doing this is through doing group projects using Google Docs. Now, Google Docs is a free resource that's used with any Google email account. So this is Hudsonville's email. This is where I'm doing my student teaching at, and they use Gmail as their kind of their base. And you literally just go over here, click on this tab right here, and then go over to Docs, and you can go and get started. You can create a blank doc. There's different essays or templates that you can use, and I've kind of created one just to use as a test starting out right here. So there's a lot of different things that you can do. You can have multiple users to access the account one time. So here I could go ahead and share this with other people. So I would just type in their email. So schmudem@mail.gvsu.edu, and I can send that to them, and it's literally shared. Yes, I want to share that, and everything's sent. So I can now share it with it. Now you can also see who it shared. You shared with one other person. Who's it shared with? Shared with myself. So you can share it with multiple people. You can edit it. So if I want to unshare it with myself, I could go ahead and remove myself. You can create video links. So let's say I'm doing something on the Supreme Court case Gideon v. Wainwright, which deals with civil liberties and your right to a lawyer in court. I could literally add a link right here. Or I just copy paste the link in. Oops, that didn't work right. Let's try that again. Link. Add the link, apply it. There we go. And now it brings me to this. This is a video resource of that actual video. So you can add video resources really easily. You can also use voice typing, which is a really interesting feature and would help my friend with cerebral palsy because she wasn't able to do a whole lot of typing because of the tremors in her hand, so she could use voice typing, which only works on Google Chrome. So if you see I have my Google Chrome browser open, you go to Tools, Voice Typing right here, that brings up this little box. You click on the microphone, and then you start typing. So anything that I say is going to appear on the screen. So a very helpful tool for her in dealing with her tremors with cerebral palsy. And again, it stays pretty accurately. Another interesting thing that you can do is you can actually do some research. So let's say I want to figure out what is cerebral palsy. I can right click on it and I can define it, say what is the actual definition of cerebral palsy, or I could even do a little bit more research by hitting explore, and then it literally does a Google search, and you can go ahead and click on links, and it sends it to another page. So again, an easy way for students to kind of further get information on a particular topic. Now I want to jump into an example from our actual classroom to kind of talk about some of these other things that you can do with it, and to get into my UDL checkpoint, which is checkpoint 6.3, facility and managing information and resources. Now in that one of the big things that was talked about was being able to use graphic organizers or use visual ways to represent information. Right here I have an infographic of the process on which a president becomes just a nominee all the way through to the actual election process. This was a Google activity that students were creating in our presidential and political parties unit. They had just experienced a bunch of lectures on the process, and this was kind of a formative assessment in which they could kind of explore it on their own and put some of the information that they had learned in lecture into practical use. So we had developed a kind of a 4-5 step process where they were actually kind of acting like campaign managers and doing some research along the way. So They have some visual representations here. You also have another infographic here that helps them out, but another thing that you can do is creating tables. Tables are a great way to organize information, especially when we wanted them to look at several different elections and kind of identify what we call battleground states, which are states where the percentage between Republican and Democratic candidates is very close. They had to look at 4 different elections, and we provided hyperlinks to a website called 270win that gives you a look at what it actually happened in terms of the Electoral College. So they did that, and they were supposed to fill this out, which this group did very well, and what way they went, whether the state went for Republican or for Democrat. Allows them to quickly identify some key things here, especially, okay, so like South Dakota, it was close apparently, but it went Republican every time. So if you're a Democrat, you're probably not going to spend as much time there. Then they were supposed to add or take these close states here and kind of list them and what they felt was importance. Now, I had previously done this where they had not finished. They had only listed the first 6, and they were supposed to list all of these. So I can quickly make a comment here. So just comment on it and say, make sure you finish this list. And that'll directly pop up within their Google Doc. They can, once they've finished it, they can go ahead and click resolve, and that notifies me, hey, you have resolved this particular issue. But it also allows me as a teacher to look back at some of these different aspects and provide real-time feedback. So if I notice they missed something up here, maybe they only had 3 of the 4 issues that they were supposed to have, and they'd already kind of moved on to the next part of their Google Doc, and I could tell that. I could just, without having to actually go over there and explain it, or hope that I catch it as they're, it's on their screens as I'm walking around. I can literally be at my desk, scroll through each of them, look for some of those areas, and identify those things right away and make sure that they get some real-time feedback, as well as offer comments on some of the things. So Google Docs, a very, very helpful tool, and it can be something that can be used in a variety of different ways.